the proposal, the idea, Tinubu is collecting 30% of all the revenues collected before they will remit the rest to Lagos State. And whatever they remit to Lagos State is what Lagos State will. So those who are working in the supposed LIRS, Lagos Inland Revenue, they pretend to be working with Alpha Beta. So they don't do anything per se. Sure, you get, all right? In fact, once in a while, they go out, okay? They go out wearing the LIRS to pretend that they are actually working, but they are not the ones in charge. So to go outside, to go and intimidate people of why they have not paid. You need to pay. So Alpha Beta uses the LIRS guys, right, as enforcers. But when the money comes in, it goes to Alpha Beta. So Alpha Beta commodities, they will remove their own 30% and give the rest to Lagos State. And truly, it increased the IGR of Lagos astronomically. So as Lagos State declares, oh, we are now making 200 billion a year, oh, we are now making 400 billion, oh, we are now making 600 billion a year. So imagine what 30%, because this is like after Alpha Beta has removed their own 30%. Oh, that's when Lagos State will say, oh, we are now making 1 trillion naira a year. You understand now? So Tinubu and his gang now put together a reform that is now before the National Assembly. Once it is passed, that similar thing will now be replicated all over Nigeria. So what they did in Lagos was that places where local government was supposed to be collecting taxes, now state they collect them. Places where, you know, it was supposed to be like local government to state to, sure you get. So they have taken charge of almost everywhere that local government was supposed to be making money. And they are left with harassing the people on the street, harassing the alabarus, and then the cat pushers for order, sure you get. So what KWAKWANSO is now saying is that with Tinubu's reform, FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service of Nigeria, they will become almost useless, but they will still be functional because they will be like enforcers. So this independent tax company will now be collecting all the taxes for all the 36 states in Nigeria. Remember, federal government have their own places of collecting taxes. States have theirs. And there are taxes that, you know, states should collect and, you know, federal government should collect. So with this reform, the federal government will kind of be empowered to collect these taxes on behalf of the state and redistribute them. This is the deal. Let's say VAT, for example, is supposed to be, it's called consumption tax. When you buy a recharge card and you are making calls, the VAT, value-added tax on that. When you buy soft drink, everything you shall buy, here you get now, there is a VAT on it, as they are charging you money for buying those things. Those companies, they remit the VAT tax on that. For example, the VAT in Nigeria is 7.5%. It's going to be 10% in January, though, right? So which means if you buy a Coca-Cola, and that Coca-Cola is, for example, 200 naira, yeah? So 10% of 200 naira will be how much? 20 naira. So every can of Coca-Cola you buy for 200, 20 naira will be remitted to federal government. But it was supposed to be remitted to the states, okay? And the state will now give some of it to federal. But with what they are pushing right now, it simply means now federal government will collect them. And they will now share the money according to how much they make from your states. So it would have been a very good thing. But here is the dark side to it. Tinubunomic, Tinubu style. Now I explain now. So let's say Lagos State is the most populous state in Nigeria. It's got, according to them, I'm using their record though, according to them, Lagos State has over 25 million people. The next state to Lagos State is Kano. Kano State have the population of about 14 million or 18 million or something. I'm using their figure now. Please don't, this is not my figure, not demo. Lagos State have the population of 25 million. Kano State has the population of 18 million. So if I'm using VAT now, so if value-added tax in Lagos is somewhere around 40 billion naira, the value-added tax they collect in Kano is less than 5 billion naira. Yeah, that's it, you know. Now, what KWAKWANSO is saying is that, sorry, what Tinubu and his gang are saying is that if we take VAT from your states, we will give you 60%, and federal government will keep 40%. So Lagos State is the richest state in Nigeria, with consumption tax, with almost all taxes that, you know, they are the richest. So what they usually do is that when they collect all this money, they share the money according to population. And Northern Nigeria, they contribute, in total, they contribute less than 30% of all of the taxes collected in Nigeria. They contribute far, far less. But when they share the money, Northern Nigeria takes more than 40% of the money shared. So which means they put in less and they take more. So this Tinubu's reform is going to make the North poorer, because states like Zamfara, Nasarawa, Borno, I'm using all these examples of some of these states, okay? They have a population, but they don't have money. So that means if they say, if they make, for example, they make 100 million naira from Zamfara as VAT, so they will give them 60 million. But usually, if they collect all these taxes from everywhere, Zamfara or Borno, Zamfara may collect more than 300 million naira from that share of the money. But with the Tinubu's reform, Zamfara will collect exactly what they put in percentage. Kano State, who say, okay, in fact, their money is more than that, okay? Their own VAT is more than like 5 billion. So let's say 7 billion. So normally, right, Kano State will collect maybe like 3 billion, for example, right? Lagos State that contributes over 40 billion. Lagos State will collect like maybe 9 billion. The remaining 31 billion from Lagos State will be shared to others. But with Tinubu's reform, Lagos State will collect more money. And the poorest states in Nigeria, who have no real contribution, they will collect less money. So what that means is that every state should go and work hard and make sure that they have more money to contribute. But for Tinubu, it no matter. Ogata. That means whether the company make money or company no make money, or here you get Tinubu go make money. Because what will happen at the end of the day is that his own private company will be the one collecting the money and removing his own percentage. So if he is taking 30% from Lagos for working in Lagos alone, now he's going to have the whole Nigeria to himself. He doesn't need 30%, maybe just 10% of that money. That's how much he will be making. And that will make him a multi-billionaire just for collecting taxes for you alone. And a lot of them knows that. So to people like KWAKWANSO from Kano, he believes that it's just going to make these Lagos people richer. Tinubu and his gang, they're just going to be so rich. Every other thing he said in that video, they are just bollock, nonsense. But that is something that he is trying to make as a point. I said it's going to make them poorer. They are already suffering. They are already there, facing diseases. They are blah, 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 blah. But the primary thing they say, by 2027, the Emir of Kano, admin, Sanusi Lusa Sanusi will be removed once KWAKWANSO and his gang, once they lose power in Kano. Here you get now. So, and with the way the cloud is gathering, now only Mumu, they go into election with APC, Ebekebe, only Mumus. The whole thing is already written. And the likes of KWAKWANSO and gang, they are living on the borrowed time. So somehow, it can spur the, it can actually like get all these northern politicians in their usual way. It can get them, it can rile them up. And they can begin their opposition to Tinubu. But this Tinubu, the one that is consolidating power in Nigeria, then they would have to try more. In my own opinion, no. They would have to what? Try more. Because this one is not here to play fear and play, free fear with anybody. It is either his way or the highway. So let's leave KWAKWANSO for now. Yeah? And quickly stop by in the Old Rock, where Tinubu is gearing up, putting together the supposed spinners. Daniel Duhala has resumed officially today as the replacement for Akuri Nigalailai, the one Kojafinko Joyibo that got removed for insubordination against Bayo Ezibida Onofunuga. And his first engagement with the media in the Old Rock today goes thus. Bulaba, please introduce yourself.
I want to start before the remark by appreciating all of you. Most of you, we know each other probably informally before now. We may have met in different places and events. And some of you have appeared in your programs for interview in a different capacity. And so officially, I want to start today by appreciating Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President of the Republic, for the exceptional honor and privilege that he has given to me by appointing me as a special advisor on media and public engagement State House. And so as the official spokesman of the President, I want to assure you all of my unalloyed commitment and support and collaboration. What happens is you have two responsibilities between the government and the people, and you hold the government accountable on behalf of the people. What you demand from government is accountability. What the government expects from you is fair reporting and fair play. And I want to give you my own commitment. I have joined a pool of very wonderful, resourceful media aid of the President, and we work as a team. But I want to guarantee you that if you have any issue that you want to find out, verify, or communicate to the government, I will always be available, to discuss with you. So my appreciation is to the President as a man of courage who has considered me worthy to appoint me as his spokesman, special advisor on media and public communication, and will ensure that in communicating on behalf of the President to the Nigerian people, we do our best in the discharge of our function. We are going to be honest with you. Government is not perfect. Government is a work in progress. What government does consistently is to communicate to the people not just the intention of government, but the effort of government in delivering on the promise to the Nigerian people. So you're going to find in the course of our work, there are times government will come up to you to say, this and this are the efforts we've made in this regard. If it is not perfect, we're improving upon it. The posture of Mr. President from when he took the oath of office to the Nigerian people is that I have undertaken this task. I know the onerous responsibility. I'm committed to it. The box is on my table. All I require from the Nigerian people is patience. This reform we have embarked upon is tough, but it's what we are prepared for. And we are going to put in our best. In the course of the administration, we are going to make sure that we communicate to the Nigerian people what we are doing. And I can readily tell you that the administration has achieved tremendously. If you are looking at it from the point of view of somebody who is neutral, because the nation consists of government, the opposition, and the people. Sometimes in the messaging, focus is made most of the times on the opposition instead of the people. That's why the role of the media, as you all know, is very important, because what you do is you report what is happening and the Nigerian people can judge. So we will give our commitment, and I know in the course of time, we are going to relate. I will make the commitment to know everyone personally, and then we'll ensure that our work here is productive in delivering good governance to the Nigerian people. And I want to, again, as I close, thank Mr. President for considering me worthy enough to be asked to undertake this responsibility. And I'll give my commitment and my effort in delivering on the promise of Mr. President. It's a pleasure meeting you all today. Thank you. Important, you can never be a subject of discussion. But most importantly, I know that sometimes back on the 13th, I think 10th of January, when I met the president, I made a conscious effort to make the media rounds, and I appeared on most television stations in the country in which this same sentiment you have echoed were raised in extensio, and we've answered all of them. And since January and now, it has been 11 months of consistent commitment in advocating on the president's governance agenda. And surprisingly, it didn't come out until now. So in life generally, you look at focus. When you're focused on a thing, you're going to be faced with distraction. Your character will be determined by how you conduct yourself in the course of carrying out the information. It's about the government, it's about the president, it's about his administration. It's not about Boala. And because these things have been trashed before, I don't want to feed the negative energy that is obviously sponsored by some element who think that by doing so they are going to gaslight the president. The president is committed, and we are committed to the cause of the president. So I won't feed into that energy. So with the first one, the president has, all of us as servants and aides to the president. Section 5 of the Constitution vests the executive powers of the Federation in the president. And he carries out this duty, if you look at Section 5, either by himself, through the vice president, or the ministers of the government or the Federation or agencies. So the president is the team leader. Every other person functions as the president wishes. And the position I have been appointed into, the last person who occupied the position was a spokesman. If you look at the description of my responsibility, special advisor to the president on media and public communication, State House. So that is self-explanatory. And regarding the second question that you raised, ordinarily I would not have responded to his issue, because when I was referred to what he said, I immediately contacted the vice president. I will crack jokes about that. I have a very fantastic relationship with the vice president, which even started before the judgment of the court was delivered regarding the matter. The relationship started, or rather became stronger, in the build-up to the emergence of leadership of the National Assembly. And since then, we've been having very good relationship. But I know that the senator in question is having some troubled times. All I can say is that we need to pray for him, for God to guide and help him. But we are focused on the work of the president. It's not about Boala, it's about the president. Yeah.
Nuisance Lele.
He's now the spokesperson. Let me explain to you, in case if you don't really understand, because Tinubu has appointed more than 14 point men as his media advisors. Okay, and then he's appointed over 1,000 other foot soldiers for media too. All right, to be talking to you either through the newspaper, through the radio, online, and social media, of course. All right, so he's appointed a lot of them, but these ones are like point men. His position is like that of, remember, Femi Opono Adesina and Garbage Shehu. So the two guys who were with Bokwari, the Presi DOC. So that is the position A, Douala. and his father, this is like almost his father anyway, is Zibida Bayon of Funuga, the long throats. Yeah. So their position is like that of Garbage Shehu and Femi Okuno Adeshina. If you see anything about Tinubu, they go fire you back. Anything when you say about Tinubu, they have to fire you back. Their job is to make sure that anybody will say anything about Tinubu, they must respond. Nigalai wasn't doing the job. That one they tried the no. You have to be like you get. So that is what they hired Bulaba for. And this was the same Bulaba 2 years ago.
That is the economy. They gathered in that meeting and they were sharing to the Nigerian.
I mean, these of course are some. I mean, you're a politician. I understand the reason why you're speaking like this. But of course, as a lawyer, you also know the fact that these things have to be backed. The libelous ones and the one that can.
That's what the libelous.
The defamation, because when you say that he's found with so person and is found with
so he was a governor.
The inference is
he was a governor. Yeah. He was a governor of the state. When a mastermind of a bombing was found in Borno Governor Lodge, I did not say he did it. He was a governor.
So let me ask you, in the case of Peter Obi, and I'm coming back to Kashim Shettima,
right?
Why was it that your supporters were criticizing Peter Obi when he was abroad, consulting with Nigerians abroad and having consultations abroad? Now your candidate is abroad,
right?
How would you react to that?
We have had no material time actually criticize Peter Obi for going abroad and engaging.
You've forgotten how your supporters were criticizing
I will tell you what
Peter Obi when they say, "Oh, he's going to abroad to instead of him coming on the ground to come and do the work."
I was part of those that in fact said that all the places Peter Obi was visiting were Nigerian communities in different parts of the Western world who are not likely to come back to Nigeria and vote. And he ignored the primary responsibility he had because we felt he came through a party that has a short time to make impact, and so he had a misplaced priority. In the case of Atiku Abubakar engaged with development partners. There is virtually nothing we need in terms of growth and development as a country to which we don't look up to the U.S. He didn't go to just see a group of people who are having some picnic, attend a group of meeting where there are people who are having dinner. He engaged with the Department of State. Department of State is like Foreign Affairs Ministry. It is cogent and compelling. In other words, his visit to the U.S. should even benefit the government of Nigeria of today.
So let's go back to what Kashim Shettima said.
Yeah.
And he made a point. He said, your presidential candidate had been making divisive statements.
Right. Let me respond to it. His own principal said, Emile Kun, when he gave the famous and what has come to become the national anthem of the party, when he said, Olule, Oshekini, Olile, Oshekeji, Olule, Osheketa, Olule,
Your Yoruba is very horrible.
It was in that meeting he said it was his own turn to be president. It's not about the people, it's not about everyone, but escalated to the most recent visit he made to Pa Adefaranti. He was telling him that not a single Yoruba is opposing the idea of me securing the ticket. He's not talking about Nigeria or APC. Then he added, he said, I promise you when I go to the election, I will bring back the trophy. In other words, his idea of the race to presidency is like you go and get a trophy to your ethnic enclave. There is not a single divisive statement that matches that. But we are not surprised that these things did not find their ways into print and electronic media. Because just last week, he had a meeting with editors in Oriental Hotel in Lagos, where he was literally persuading and buying them over to his view. We have also heard when he said he will curse anybody that tried to settle Wike and Atiku. We are not perturbed by that. But let me tell you what they are selling to the Nigerian people, what they call renewed hopelessness. In their renewed hopelessness, what is their economic model?
You call it renewed hopelessness, but they call it renewed hope.
But let me tell you why it is hopeless. This current government is the government of APC. They don't even know. Their entire manifesto is a campaign against the government. And a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. If read their campaign manifesto, it is activism. You are doing activism against who? You now said you want to remove subsidy. You forgot when Jonathan wanted to remove subsidy, all of them went to the street and called the heavens to come down on him. Remember also, as soon as the election was coming close, when they talked about subsidy, they said, who is subsidizing who? We're going to remove subsidy from day one. 8 years down the line, they have not. Even when the PIA was passed into law, which created